like to ask, how do you manage to handle jealous people in your life? Because I think you have met a lot of people who try to pull you back.
Yes.
Because they don't want you to be so successful.
Yeah. We have, where I come from in Maryland, there's special crabs in the Chesapeake Bay. And so if you ever see a lot of crabs in a barrel, one starts trying to climb out and the other ones reach and grab and pull it back. And it makes no sense, right? It's like if they work together, couldn't they all climb out, you know, like a chain? And so we actually call that, you know, sometimes you have communities that are crabs in a barrel. And my experience has been, it's not always fun and it's sometimes painful, but I feel that there are certain relationships that I have outgrown and I move on. Obviously not with my family. I just deal with them in different ways. I have found that I have a relative who, if I share that something went terrible or awful or had a failure, that she delights in that. It makes her feel good because she's happy that she's not alone. And so I've made a conscious decision that this is someone who I love dearly, who I want in my life, and I would sincerely like to see her live her best life, but I can't do it for her. And so I no longer share everything with her because it doesn't feel appropriate. It's not helpful to me. And if anything, it makes me feel really sad that she feels she has no control over her circumstance, because she's a very healthy, very smart person. So that's my story with family. With other people, I no longer have certain friendships that I had, and the truth of it is that probably we've just grown at different rates. Some people stay stagnant and they're not willing to try and grow, and if anything, they kind of feel like they have no choice over their circumstance. And generally they do. But that's their choice. So I have outgrown some relationships and some networks, and I have found other ones to move on to. But it's difficult, and it's a conscious choice, and it's not always easy.
So what you mean in your life, the religion? Because you said you're going to church and these things, and
Yes.
help or what, or
That, my friend, is what we call a can of worms. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have found throughout my life that I am a very, very spiritual person. I feel that I've always had some influence in my life that I can't explain. And I attribute that to a higher power. And I used to joke when I was a little girl, I said, how am I so lucky? I'm just so lucky. And I used to think I had a guardian angel. And then I got to a point where as more and more opportunities just magically suddenly showed up in my life, I said, oh, I have a whole team. I have a whole team of guardian angels. So when it comes to religion, some of my challenge has been, as an entrepreneurial, out-of-the-box thinker, I have sometimes had very difficult challenges with structure and rules of religion. So that's been an interesting challenge for me, and especially as I guide my children in developing their own faith, is that I want them to have exposure to religion and to faith. But going back to even as a child, I was raised in the Catholic Church. And as a child, I can remember, before Easter, our Catholic education class would go to the church for confession. And I just remember plain as day saying, I'm sorry, I don't need a middleman. God and I have a direct connection. And he told me that I don't need to talk to the priest because, at 10 years old, there was something wrong with me. But I have friends that tell me, I'll never forget that you did that. You're crazy. What were you thinking? And I said, I don't know. I wasn't thinking. That's just exactly what I believed. I had a direct connection, and I didn't see the point in communicating this. But I've tried out. I've been active in the Catholic Church and Lutheran Church, and back to a Catholic Church and to a Methodist Church. And currently, one of my children, I have a daughter who's very active in a local Methodist church, and so I've been supporting her in that. And one of the things I really appreciate, speaking of networks, is the fellowship. And this particular community is so excellent at walking the talk, in delivering on what they say is important. From the food bank that they have in the church to the youth programs that they do. So really that's been more inspirational to me and more guiding light in my life, is to find a community where people are actually doing what they say, and I like that a lot. So I'm kind of many religions, you could say. And it's interesting because even as a child, I grew up in a neighborhood where we had lots and lots of different religions, and my parents were very open-minded about education and learning about different religions. So I can remember even going to synagogue with my neighbor, and I was very young and I never thought it unusual. For me, that was an opportunity to learn, and gave me better opportunities to relate to people that came from different faiths and different backgrounds, to understand.
Well, if I may, I'll ask one last question to wrap it up. So what's next for you?
What's next for me? There's a particular competition that I'm really, really fascinated with. Ernst & Young is a worldwide consulting and accounting business, and they have this program called the Entrepreneur of the Year, and they do it worldwide. Well, they have a separate program also that's called Winning Women. And you're eligible to compete in this program if you're in business less than 10 years. And this is my 9th year of business, it's my last year. And I have to tell you, on this application, they're really looking for, the people that they're gonna select are big, big thinkers. And the opportunities that you'll have to be in that group of people and the access to resources, I want that. I feel really, really driven and very competitive. And as I'm reviewing the application and I'm learning about what is it they're looking for, they want to pick select companies that are scaling, that believe they have the business model and the business sense to scale to a $100 million business or more. Can you bring it? So that's something that's on my radar, and as I'm thinking about even just the thought process of competing and putting an application together is stretching me to imagine bigger and think of possibilities that I hadn't thought of before. So what's next for me is growing this business to the point where it continues to need me personally less and less, and to only rely on me to be the vision and the strategist and to imagine possibilities, and then empower the people in my organization to go make those things happen. So I have a vision that I want to scale up because I believe that we can start creating more of a shift in creating jobs for women, but also helping them to start businesses on their own, so that eventually it's not uncommon that we can have a professional career and be great moms. So that's my big next.
Sounds like a great goal. Well, thank you to Theresa for being here today. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to Dora and the American Corner Debrecen for hosting.